Yes, other questions, comments? Yeah.
Is he still in Vero Beach? Does he work with
I believe he's in Vero Beach and works with the Dodgers. By the way, one historical footnote, the game that Bob Feller struck out Greenberg a few times and set the then record of 18 strikeouts at the end of that season. Feller lost that game. The winning pitcher was a young Jewish player named Harry Eisenstadt, who was pitching for the Detroit Tigers. Put that one in your trivia pocket. Yes, ma'am.
When did the Yankees sign their first Jewish ball player?
Well, that's an interesting question. People remember Ron Blumberger, of course, from 1971. The Yankees had a shortstop named Jimmy Reese. Maybe he was an outfielder who was briefly with the Yankees and described himself. He was actually roomed with Babe Ruth during spring training. He described himself, however, as having roomed with Babe Ruth's suitcases, but Babe Ruth was never in his room that night. There were also, if you go back to like the turn of the century when they were the Highlanders, they had a couple of players as well, not particularly distinguished players. Jack Fischel was the first maybe the first Jewish pitcher, and he was briefly a Yankee, around 1900. Yeah, way back.
At one point they said that about 4% of the players were Jewish.
Yeah.
What's the percentage today?
I think that's the current percentage. If you got about 15 or 16 players, this is the last season there were 15 Jewish ball players, which is the most in absolute numbers ever in the history of the game. But not the most in percentage terms, because during the 1930s and 40s they averaged about 9 players a season, and that was when there were only 16 teams rather than 30 teams. But certainly the numbers is very significant now. Anybody want to take a guess as to why so few Jews play baseball, Major League Baseball we actually were, just to give you a background statistic, Jews during the 20th century were generally believed to be like 3 to 4% of the population. We had 8/10 of all players were Jewish. 8/10% of all players were Jewish. So we were outnumbered, underrepresented by a factor of 3 to 4 to 1. Anybody want to speculate about that? Yeah.
basketball was just more popular among Jews then?
No, basketball was real popular. I think the real reason in the first half of the 20th century was that if you wanted to play baseball, you did it. You gave up college. Although there were ball players who came through the college route. College was not a major supplier of Major League Baseball in the first half of the 20th century. These were the farm boys and the factory hands who basically went through the minor leagues, D baseball and C baseball. If you wanted to play baseball if you wanted to go to college, as so many Jews did, you were reducing your chances dramatically. And then again, until about the 1950s. But what happened in the 1950s? We saw Jackie Robinson happened in the 1950s. So the opening up of baseball to African American players and later to Hispanic players increased the talent pool and reduced the Jews' chances as well. Yeah, other questions or comments? By the way, just to tell you, we actually compared last one. We actually compared the records of about 160 Jewish ball players since the 1870s with the records of 17,000 non-Jewish ball players during the same period. And it turns out that on basically virtually every statistic, Jews hit at a slightly high batting average. They pitched at a slightly lower earned run average. They got more than their share of home runs. There's only one statistic on which Jews actually fell below that of the norm of players. Anybody want to guess what it was? How come everybody always knows that? It is not, of course, that Jews were slow, you understand. They were just honoring the 8th commandment, right? Other questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Do many Jewish ball players go playing on the high holidays? I don't think so. Like Eucharist, never.
Well, the question is, what happens? What do Jewish players do now on the high holidays? It's really a mixed bag. Sean Green split the difference, played once, didn't play another time. Euclid was available. It's really a mixed bag. I have to tell you one Yom Kippur story. Harry Eisenstadt, this pitcher who beat Bob Feller when Bob Feller had 18 strikeouts. Harry Eisenstadt was in the bullpen on Yom Kippur, decided to play on Yom Kippur, and he was brought in with the bases loaded, and he gave up a grand slam home run. So, proving that there is a God. Yeah. Let me make a plug for both the DVDs of the film, which are now available. They generally retail for $30. We have them at $25 tonight. And we've got some baseball card sets, the Deck of the Decade, which chronicles all 29 Jewish major leaguers who played in the last decade. Any other? And I'm happy to schmooze with you down here as well. Yeah. Yeah, that poor kid. Yeah.
Will he ever be able to play?
I don't know. He actually is playing now in an independent league team, but I don't know if he's going to make it.
What happened when, different things happen to different people? What happened to him that he can't play now?
He just never recovered from the concussion. He must have lost something physically. Yeah.